Okay, good. Oh, sorry, Dennis. I'm very sorry. I didn't know that we had started. Uh, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our Humanist Africa TV viewers. It is a great honor, pleasure, and opportunity that we are with you once again. It has been a while and a journey that we started with small states way back in January to where we are in September. And this journey is like storytelling. So colleagues, wherever you are, we are all consumers that are affected and affect whatever happens in the global world. Now, with this opportunity to be on Humanist Africa TV, gives us a great honor to be part of the global world where we contribute to improve the quality of life. And through all this process, we are enabling, or we are putting a building block to everyday life of the consumers. So this is where we wish to thank Humanist TV Africa, board, management, and all the teams that make Humanist TV Africa. I would like to appreciate all our producers for all the years and months, days, or weeks and days, and today, Dennis Bongole. With you all other host producers and hosts, wherever country you are, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Kenya, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, and the rest of the world. Then our chief hosts, Kato, Paul, Mukasa, for having taken on the initiative and bringing us on board, starting the partnership with Consent and TV Africa, or Humanist Africa TV. It's been a journey, and a journey that we are going to continue by bringing the consumer voice onto the global world. I would like, before I roll into today's agenda, maximizing consumer voices in the digital finance ecosystem, to kind of massage and recall you in where we started, why we started, and where we wish to go. Fellow consumers, me and you, we are consumers. You and me, we are consumers. The other aspect that we are in, after being consumers naturally, then we acquire other aspects. A number of us are in business. The question is, as one of the objectives, and that's why we have a better business program, how do we acquire the consumer knowledge and take it to do better business so that we benefit from the goods and services we provide to consumers? So as consumers, ladies and gentlemen, in one way or another, we end up being providers of goods and services in another. Either we are from personal initiatives, or whether we are in private or civil society or public initiatives like businesses, or we are in community. So we all end up earning a living from something, as farmers, as retailers, as transporters, as organizers, but all this trickles down that we are offering goods and services. And what do our customers require? Quality goods and quality service to get value for their money. And what is our obligations As consumers, we need to advocate for quality goods and services. And after being consumers, we need to play a role as goods and service providers and deliverers to offer quality goods and service. In that, whatever we do not like as consumers, whatever we hate as consumers, whatever we critique as consumers, we need to do the same when we wear the other hat, when we become goods and service providers. We become a business. So that's how we at Consent have a consumer advocacy protection agenda. Then we have the business or better business agenda, where we would like each one of us to strive and for a quality culture. We nurture to see to it that who are consumers first take the same ethics when they turn into business to do better business by following those very aspects that they aspire for when they are consumers. If you aspire for quality when you're a consumer and timely delivery, then when you wear the other hat of a business, do better business, self-critique, and be a consumer who has turned into a business person following ethical practices to offer quality goods and services. So, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to and watching me this morning, afternoon, and night, a definition of a consumer is it includes all of us. As a business person, like I have said, you do not produce whatever you use and you consume. You go and acquire it elsewhere. So when you acquire it and you find it is of poor quality, complain. But get to know when you are also producing, offering service to others, you need to offer quality so that those that you offer a service do not complain. So at Consent, that's why we have aspects to do with consumer protection as a program, then better business as another program, and then we do many other activities under them that are agricultural and food related, that are trade and economics related, that are environment and health related, utilities, services related, checking out our markets in regards to product safety, food safety, going into quality assurance, consumer empowerment, sensitization, business ethics, and we crown it all by nurturing a quality culture. Now, as we are discussing digital finance, I always tell colleagues, like we say in food, that if food is not safe, it is not food. I would like to say the same with the digital infrastructure. If the digital infrastructure is not safe, it's not digital, or it is not fair digital infrastructure for consumers. And today, I would like us to maximize the voices do a little recap where we have started. And we want to maximize the consumer voices in digital finance policy making. Digital finance policy lays out the program, the flow, the foundation, the flow, the implementation of fair digital finance. And to us in the consumer movement and also in the better movement, better business, consumer voices are the foundation. So, colleagues, having done a curtain rise, I would like to start by saying that welcome to another episode. We are going to discuss maximizing consumer voices in the digital finance policy making, implementation, and utilization ecosystem. So this is the first in the series. I'm going to base it on live experiences. I use a lot of the Uganda examples, but I will also use, I've been the last week in Windhoek, Namibia, where I was attending and participating in the African Union's third annual micro, small, medium enterprise week. And the aspect was all about fostering, financing, education, innovations to boost micro, small, and medium enterprise developments. And all this is well cast. I want to castigate it and ground it in today's discussion. So very quickly, having said that, in January, you recall we started with food safety, massaged it and spiced it with food fraud. Came into February, we had aflatoxins, and they are aspects that challenge you as food safety and product safety aspects that will not facilitate you to enjoy your right as a consumer. After that, we moved into aspects that addressed agroecology. Then we went into the month of March, where we were looking at consumer rights, celebrating the month, looking at artificial intelligence that should be fair to consumers, and it is well aligned even in digital finance, where people are using a lot of artificial intelligence in banks to answer our complaints, which today we might find are not resolved. So with AI, artificial intelligence, it is an enabler, but it is not a consumer problem solving. Then in April, still we dealt with a little of agroecology, soil health, led us into a month of food safety, preparing for the unexpected. We went through all that, nutrition aspects, and then until we started this series that are all about fair digital finance acceleration. How do we accelerate fairness in the digital ecosystem? And today we are grounding more to that by how do we maximize the consumer voices in policy, in implementing the different regulations. I would like to appreciate everybody who has commented, who has come out to share the different challenges. All these brought in new sharings, aspirations. Like Peter Claver is following, we always say, we would love to add a block to your life and see how best we make it of good quality. An informed consumer has the greatest opportunity not to be mis and disinformed, misled, gets an opportunity to make informed decisions and even advocate. The major objective here we have at programs is to educate, to awaken you, and to urge you to speak up and out when you are affected. Others might find it challenging that we use more of the Uganda-Africa perspectives. But whatever we speak out onto, all about, is global. Of Consumers International, where Consent is a member, then we bring in the global experiences different players use. So colleagues, having said all that, it might have seemed like a long prologue or a long startup. But when we go to business, startups take long to mature. And our discussion on digital finance has taken long to mature. And why? We need to see it mature fully because digital finance has become every breath, every heartbeat as we consumers take in every second, every day. Those of you watching us, before you started watching, on your digital device or your laptop to get internet. You didn't pay cash, or even when you paid cash at a kiosk, a tailor, or even a bank, that money entered the system through using digital platforms, entering the ecosystem, and then you were given the data onto your phone. All that is digital finance. You are doing payments, whether physically or digitally, to get a digital service. All that is the digital ecosystem. It falters somewhere else, it impacts you. Let me just use two examples. And I trust Brian and Dennis will excuse me for using them as examples, both as my host and then producer. We didn't have Brian in one of the sessions because of quality infrastructure challenges that facilitated the digital environment. That was energy in Kenya. 2 weeks ago, they had challenges. They couldn't be with us. It is as if Brian said, if it has happened in Kenya, let me curse Uganda. The same that affected Brian a week before affected Dennis a week after. They had the data, the money on their phones, but digitally, because electricity, energy is managed digitally these days, their area was off by just a simple click. So, colleagues, sorry about that. That is how life is, even naturally, that anything can happen. And digitally, many things can happen. So we got a disruptor. So, colleagues, now that you're back, it was like an interlude. We'll appreciate that the digital advances continue to make us a global world, one global family. But they're moving on an alarming pace, alarming speed. If we look back like we have said, many years, in Kenya, M-Pesa is so good, has connected everybody. In Uganda, nearly 3/4 of the population, the 45 million and around about 38 to 40 are using digital finance. Those who have never seen a bank are participating in the digital finance ecosystem, improving the financial inclusion and participation. And in many other countries. But how do we make it better? And at the area series, we have seen that the digital finance ecosystem has a lot of benefits for the consumers. It is easy to access. It brings convenience. It is easy to maneuver and brings on board those that have never been unbanked. Like I said, way back in 2009, in Uganda, we had formally 5 million accounts, thereabouts. Then in 2009, when, as it is called today, Uganda opened up. Today, it is in millions. When you combine all the mobile money accounts, even the 5 million plus, I had a bank account before 2009, not one. I had my individual accounts and organizational accounts. But in 2009, I joined the mobile money, having an account using my SIM card. And I have 2 accounts. By then, I had more than 4 because I had more than 4 SIM cards. But as an informed consumer, I looked at my costs and expenses. I reduced them from 4 to 2 because I have 2 SIM cards. So those are 2 mobile money accounts which I operate. Even then, I had more than 6 to 8 in several banks. But one day I went back home and I looked at the costs of managing all these accounts annually. And I said, no, this is not sustainable. The ledger fees, all transaction fees I was being charged, both at institutional and individual level, were going into an equivalent of $200 per annum. And I opted organizational, going for one account. And me as an individual went for my individual account. And I am using my individual account both for physical banking, digital financial transactions. That has greatly saved my life. I have a little money to do savings, to do other economic activities, and also to enjoy as a human being, to invest in my life, to be happy. So this shows you that as an informed consumer, you have to look back, take decisions on issues that affect you and get impact on you, and you get affected. You need to be you. You don't need to be what you would like others to see you to be. If you live a life as a consumer of what you would like others to see you be, then you're going to be doomed. But live the life you, the consumer, you yourself needs to live. Then you'll be healthy. That's why I cut from 8 accounts to 1 account, 4 accounts. Those 8 were for organizational. As an individual, from 4 accounts to 1 account, which account gives me a spread, now to 3 accounts. 1 with the bank, and the other 2 with my mobile money, using my SIM cards as my account, SIM card numbers as my accounts. These have helped me navigate and be focused. When I have any query, I maximize my voice in the digital finance. I won't say that I have never been cheated. I have been cheated. I've been defrauded. The deep fakes do not only go for the ignorant, they also go for the knowledgeable. I trust in wherever you are, you have seen banks that have said, or that have been defrauded of millions. So if it can happen, an institution holding your, then you need to be cautious. So in maximizing the voice of consumers in the digital finance, to facilitate and invest in quality infrastructure with regards to the digital platforms, the digital rollout, so that consumers do not get hiccups like we are getting, and energy infrastructure is affected. So colleagues, as we are maximizing the voice of consumers in digital finance, the ecosystem is challenged by many aspects, and which requires each one of us in our respective categories to play a role. The duty bearers, as in the executive, putting policies in place, and where the policies are in place, they need to be implemented and enable consumers to speak out. The private sector, the service providers, in government, before I leave, once the policies, legal and regulatory framework is in place, government appoints competent authorities. All these are enacted by an acts of parliament, so they have got legal statute which leads out to their functions. There are many functions of seeing to it that there is transparency, value for money, consumer protection, fighting corruption, theft, and so forth. There is an element of empowering consumers with the competent authorities. Then it comes to service providers as private sector, using those enabling environments, using the quality infrastructure, whether it is done by public, laying down the infrastructure, or it is by private, or it is through public-private partnerships, to make sure it provides quality infrastructure, services that are transparent, fair, and provide the consumer with the right goods and services. Then it comes to other players, civil society, business support organization, consumer organizations. We need to combine all the above to advocate for quality infrastructure, an enabling environment, transparency, fairness, and also do awareness to consumers, in that when they are affected, they speak up and out. That is how we are maximizing consumer voices. Putting in place complaints handling mechanisms. All this enables consumers to have trust and confidence in the digital finance environment ecosystem. The negative part of it, ladies and gentlemen listening to us, is consumers we trust and we enjoy the ambience, the ecosystem. But we lose confidence when we are hurted. But there are even circumstances when we need to opt out. We can't opt out because that is the only service that is there. There is no bank, there is no agent. Then you have to use the existing infrastructure. Those that are in fintech call it USSD. To do a transaction, to send money, to pay for health, to pay for goods, to pay for services like insurance, to pay school fees, to pay for anything. So you find that digital finance is no longer an element to opt out. You are in whether you like it or you don't, because even if you shun away from it, if you are in the rural area and you are a grandparent, a great-great-grandparent, a grandparent, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, or a general kinsfolk to somebody who is in the urban area, they happen to decide to share with you some of their hard-earned money, but they can't bring it physical. Within a short time, just in time, the only avenue to send it to you is by digital finance, using the USSD, using the infrastructure that is present, using short codes where you press *16 or where you press *185#, then select one, you put And para, there you have sent the money. To the rural person, in the olden times where they would have traveled kilometers to go to a bank or a financial facility to collect the money or to pay the debt, there it goes onto the gadget or into their accounts elsewhere, all in the names of somebody they are going to get the money from. So that shows you that every bit of our life as humans, as consumers, has a role to play with digital finance, and we need to maximize our voices. And consumer organizations are going to play a role by advocating for fair, transparent, understandable system. When you have a challenge, it can be addressed. When the service is good, you can say the service was good. But to date, with all the convenience that is coming with the digital finance, with the convenience, the inclusivity, the access, the versatility, the promptness, the speed, use any terminology that brings efficiency, turn it around. Many consumers are losing money, are victims of scams, are victims of deep fakes, the invisible hands, the white collar frauds. Every country has got its form of demerit with regards to digital finance. That's when we were doing town halls with the Uganda Communications Commission in the month of August, when my colleagues were harvesting complaints from both from consumers, farmers, and businesses. It is where one asked, has digital finance become a curse to society? Every day you are hearing another complaining, I've been defrauded, I've been defrauded. The beauties in digital finance, have they become a cancer to society? That's why we run a series, is digital finance a cancer to society? Whenever I read the social media, whenever I read the print, the electronic portals of competent authorities regulating the digital finances in whatever level, you find, be cautious, be aware. They are fakes. They are the unscrupulous out there. This is where we need to maximize the consumer voice in policy making, awakening them, so that we speak up, speak out, advocate, sensitize, empower, and we call upon the consumers to be critical, to be alert, to be concerned, to be aware, and to solidify and jointly campaign for better digital finance. I've been following a trail here in Uganda, two consumers who are battling. When I posted it on my WhatsApp and social media, when I retweeted it, one is complaining about two transactions using a mobile app of the bank and said, I've never subscribed for it and I've never utilized it. But money has been taken off her account to a tune of around about $500. If I would use the US dollars, in Uganda, it is around about 2 million shillings. But for months on, She's moving up and down to the bank to get solutions. And they're not getting solutions. The bank tells her other stories. The reality is other stories. The tweet she sent out yesterday, dear bank, why do you send the social influencers on me? And this is where ethic comes in. This is where human face comes in. Where is the consumer face? Where are systems looking at consumer best approaches? Because consumers not being customers affects, because all institutions are running on consumer money. It is bad that people don't want to hear it. And I use it when I'm doing consumer protection advocacy. You are as a business because of consumers. You are as a government establishment because of consumers. You are in government as a sitting president, minister, member of parliament or party because of consumers as voters. So this takes me back where we say we are the biggest social, economic, and political grouping that is affected, but we are not listened to. But that can affect if we are critical, we're empowered, and we get together in solidarity, we can make changes. And I trust if we maximize our consumer voices in the digital finance ecosystem, we can change it. So that's why this series, that's why this call, that's why we continuously uphold the innovators of digital finance in all its form, the digital finance ecosystem. Well done. But we also need to work on the vagaries, to work on the demerits, to work on the fakes, the deep fakes, the scams, the poor infrastructure that impedes consumers benefiting from the benefit, the joy and loveliness of digital finance ecosystem. So ladies and gentlemen, different countries have got policy, legal, regulatory infrastructure or frameworks. But at each and every level, I would like to call upon you to go in and advocate to maximize the voice of consumers at each and every level. With the duty bearers, like we do in Uganda, you speak out on things that are affecting the consumer. As a consumer organization, as a business support organization, and as individual consumers, speak out on issues that are affecting you. Inform the duty bearers, who are the policymakers. They are the legislators, they are the regulators. Those are the duty bearers. On the level of actors, the service providers, speak up, tell them. Like when we are doing complaints harvesting, we aggregate the complaints, and the biggest complaints that we receive on a weekly or on a daily basis, weekly and monthly, then we aggregate them quarterly and annually. Majority are on communication and digital finance. That shows you that digital finance is every part of the consumer's daily life. So service providers as actors, businesses, aspire for quality compliance, quality infrastructure to enable your customers, the consumers, to access quality services, to have a quality of experience, to have trust and confidence in your services. Use the enabling environment provided by the duty bearers to innovate, invest, scale up, reach out, and do better business. To consumers, organizations, civil society, the non-state actors. At times I tell you that we have got the biggest role to play. The duty bearer, as in the executive government, through regulatory, legal, regulatory frameworks they provide. The service providers, using those frameworks they provide. And indirectly and directly, it is as if they're saying, we leave the rest to you, the consumer organization, civil society organization, religious, cultural, other civic organization to play your role. But we don't get anything from that. As we would say, economically, we don't get anything, but we use those infrastructures to earn money. Government will get taxes from the service providers. Businesses will get profit from the costs that we pay when we utilize those services, when we buy those goods. And then the consumers, what do we get? Either we get quality service, quality experience. But now, as figures go on showing, out of our investment by accessing those services and paying for them, and also the goods and paying for them, we have more complaints. We are either getting duped, we are getting poor services, we are defrauded. And this is where, as we end the program for today, I don't know if I sounded like a pastor, an imam, or a politician, but it is all about seeing how do we maximize the consumer voice in the digital finance ecosystem with regards to policy making. As consumers and consumer organizations, civil society organizations, civic organizations, religious institutions, cultural institutions, civic ones, can we speak out? And I am happy. It's not that I enjoy to see consumers affected, but when consumers speak out and say what is affecting them. Like I tell the business community, the best asset you have is a complaining consumer. It's like when I am asked by consumers and different players, when you get our complaints, you harvest our complaints, what do you do with them? I told them it is like in a food sector. I do good agricultural practices, good handling practices, good transportation, good storage, good processing, and good communication. At Consent, we are registered with the Personal Data Protection Office. We follow their responsibilities or the requirements of protecting the data. So when we harvest the consumer complaints, the farmer complaints and business complaints, we process them and use them to do advocacy, to speak out where consumers are affected. We use them to maximize the consumer voices. I would say that at Consent, we are privileged to have around about 20 young consumers, the youth, they are the majority, who go out and pick complaints, pick concerns from consumers, farmers, and businesses. Still, with young people, we have got a data management system that processes the data, which we make reports out and share them with the competent authorities to see how some of the consumer and who wish to see most all the consumer complaints are addressed. So this brings in the consumer responsibility of taking action, of being critical, and their consumer right of safety, their consumer right of getting redress by speaking out, and also having a healthy environment. But this doesn't take away the consumer responsibility. Like, we are advocating for solid maximizing the consumer voice in the digital finance for it to be fair, equitable, and just. Consumers, we have the responsibility. Do not just share your PIN number. Do not just share your gadgets. Protect your gadgets. Protect your PIN, your personal identification number. Once you don't protect it, the unscrupulous will go into your personal data, your personal environment, your personal finances. They will access them using your personal identification number, the PIN, and then you'll complain. So let's protect as we maximize voices in the digital, consumer voices in the digital finance. Let's uphold and sensitize ourselves on consumer responsibilities. How do we handle our gadgets? How do we handle our data? How do we utilize the fast growing environment, the digital environment? It's the digital environment. Under the digital environment, there's a digital economy, there is a digital, there are many digital things that are social, economic, but also environmental. Where do we put the digital west that we call the e-west? So all these come in, and all this shows us that we need to be responsible by protecting our keys, like PIN numbers, but also we need to be aware and cognizant of the mis and disinformation, of misleading adverts, of people trying to scam us. We need to be alert of all that. So as we are maximizing the consumer voices in policy making with regards to digital finance, we call for quality infrastructure, safeguarding laws, awareness, and then from businesses, be transparent, be responsive, partner to do awareness so that consumers are not victims. For consumer organizations, civil society organizations, cultural, religious, civic organizations, let's empower our society. Let's speak out when they are affected. And lastly, with us all as consumers, let's be cautious, responsible, Use these enablers to quality life responsibly. Do not share your PIN. Do not just click on accept when you're on every digital platform. Some of the accepts will end you in the hands of the deep fakes, the defrauders. You lose your resources. Be critically aware. Think when you are using the digital platforms. This is the only way we are going to make them fair. And also speak out when you are affected. This help in the digital advocacy. This help in digital regulations. This help to call to action from competent authorities, to businesses. So, ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday, it was an honor speaking to you on maximizing the consumer voice in digital finance ecosystem, as in policy making. So next Saturday, we'll still go on with maximizing, because consumers are the foundation of any innovation, of any initiative. When we do not consume it, the innovation dies. When we do not consume the good and service, the business dies. So we need to maximize our voices for better, for good, transparent, ethical, judicious. It is when we will have trust and confidence in all this. I would like to thank our colleagues at Humanist Africa TV, wherever you are on the continent, Africa, and globally, in the UK, in the Americas, in the Asias. You're all in the Europes, and you're all over the global. I think one day, if we grow big through these initiatives as Africa, Humanist Africa TV, you might get and become Humanist Global TV. So let's share, let's grow, and let's improve the quality of humanity. Thank you very much, Dennis, our hosts, Kato in absentia, Brian in absentia, and all the areas with the franchise. And to you, our watchers, listeners, like and subscribe to Humanist Africa TV. Share it, proclaim it, and give it to the world. I look forward to being with you. Thank you very much. God bless.